fellow Toastmasters. This is the first of four installments of Building Your Community. I created this after a discussion with Ann Golden and also our training coordinator about, and that was Rachel Hooks, by the way, about additional support that we can provide to our club officers. As we all know, some club officers, this is their very first year, and they attended officer training. They had a barrage of new information, and they left with their head spinning. I thought it would be a good idea. Give them a month to kind of sort things out, get organized, have a month as an officer in their new role, and then let's get back together and let's see what other information we can provide to those people. What I want to do is to introduce you to three very successful club officers. They have been president, VPE in their clubs, whether it's corporate or community. And I thought that these officers and Toastmasters could really help clarify some things that maybe you're still confused about from training, but also we can go deeper into certain subjects and see how they handled some challenging situations. So I'd like to first ask our three officers to introduce themselves. Let us know about your Toastmaster bio, and just so people can get to know you and what type of background you have. First, Marianne Farah. She is a two-time DTM. So, Marianne, introduce yourself.
Good evening. Thank you, Chris. I come from a corporate club. My original club was ETS Toastmasters. I was every officer role there except secretary and sergeant at arms. I've since become a member of Mercer's Best Toastmasters. I started coaching them in 2014. I became a member and I have stayed a member. I've had every role in that corporate public club except sergeant at arms and secretary, which I have never been either of those two. But the other ones I've got covered and can answer any question you probably throw at me. So right now I'm president of Mercer's Best Toastmasters. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Mika Reeves, she is part of one of the largest clubs in District 38, which is Princeton Toastmasters. And that's huge. And I'm hoping to hear about how officers in that club manage such a large club and just with agendas and everything else. Mika, introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Mika Reese. Thank you for that pre-intro. I have been a member of Princeton Toastmasters. I've been my primary club since 2017. I had a slight stutter outside of Princeton Toastmasters. I'm a healthcare provider. I'm a clinical medical social worker and psychotherapist. And so my supervisor around that time said, "Oh, you're really good. You've got a gift, but I feel like you get in your own way and you do a lot of conversation fillers." So I did a search and I found Princeton Toastmasters. I've been going ever since. I've held the role of VP of public relations. I also did the sergeant in arms, vice president of education last year, and this year I am incoming president of Princeton Toastmasters, and it has been a magnificent journey. We are a community club, hands down, and we do it with a capital C. And it is my favorite hobby. It's my other family outside of my personal family, and I'm looking forward to sharing some tips today.
Thank you, Mika. And finally, we have Ruth Dameron. I met her when I was a division director, and she was the division director coach for all the division directors in our district. And she was someone that listened and she gave us her guidance. And I've just loved her ever since. Ruth, please tell us about your Toastmaster history.
Thank you, Chris. I'm the veteran of the bunch. I've been a Toastmaster for 33 years. Besides that district office, I have held every club officer office with the exception of treasurer. I've never been the treasurer. So I have enjoyed Toastmasters. I've even mentored one of the international speakers. Um, so I've done just about everything there is to do in Toastmasters and enjoyed every moment of it. In fact, I was sharing with someone out of the 33 years, I gave myself this year 6 weeks off from meetings, and I have never missed a meeting in 33 years. But I decided to go on hiatus and take a break. So well deserved, I think.
When you wrote your book, Ruth,
Yes, and this is my second book, Walking in Grace. Prior to that, I did the 30-day devotional. So I've been quite busy. I'm also a
yes.
minister, and now I've been given another ministry to lead beside being a minister. So quite busy and happily retired too. Mother of four.
Oh my gosh.
The list
So
just
we
goes
have
on and on.
three, I'm sorry, we have three very experienced Toastmasters in all different realms, in different positions. But today we're going to concentrate on the president and the VPE roles. They are the two busiest and the most complicated roles. As president, you need to kind of be the parent sometimes to the officers, kind of, stifle some little skirmishes and disagreements, but also motivate, inspire, keep your officers on track, and do everything like that. VPE, talk about multitasking. You're juggling multiple plates in the air just to keep those meetings going and also your members progressing in their paths. Now, I had shared with our panel some questions before tonight's meeting, just so they would be prepared. But we're going to go through the various different questions. And if you can, hold your questions till the end, because we're going to have a full half an hour of just Q&A, and you can hit them with any questions you may have, talk about your fears, anything. My first question is to Marianne and Ruth. As president, how do you ensure that your club is inviting to the guests? And how did you want the first impression to be for your guests? And so that it was a very positive one. Marianne, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Chris. Mercer's Best, I'm taking this from the point of view of a public club. Mercer's Best is a 20-member club. So we're small, and we like to consider ourselves a family. That's the atmosphere and takeaway we want our guests to have. So for us, getting to know our guests happens before the meeting. From the point they inquire and we start communicating with them with immediate turnaround times, talking to them, asking them questions. So when they walk in the room as a guest, we know them a little bit. We can say, "Oh, Sally, thank you for coming. I know you were coming after work," but because you know a little something about them. And if you don't, then you can start that conversation. All our officers know to welcome them. If there's too many guests and we can't juggle it with, our VP membership or president or whoever, anybody will step in and do that. They have guest packets. We do ask them to introduce themselves and to say at the end what they thought. We do offer them table topics and do not pressure them at all. It really bothers me when you put someone on the spot and say, well, you're here, you should be able to do this. No, they might not feel comfortable with that. So never pressure them for table topics. And then we get a lot of walk-ins because we meet at the library in Ewing, New Jersey. So we don't have their email. So we have to make sure we get their emails one way or another before they walk out the door. So that introduction when we first welcome them in also allows us to keep that. And then a thank you note as soon as they leave. Like the next day, the thank you note comes out with something specific about it. Great to hear that you work at BMS and things are going so well. That you were a prior Toastmaster. Customize everything based on what they say so that they feel that personal connection. And that's what we try to do.
I love that, trying to get to know them before they come and actually picking something out to leave with so that they know you actually listened to them while they were there and you remembered that in an email. Ruth, what about your club? How do you just make sure that first impression is positive?
Well, positively charged Toastmasters. Originally, we're a corporate club, but we have a community outreach. In the beginning, we met in person at the building, at the Pico building. But since COVID, we are now online. So we have to go that extra step to make sure that we have that personal touch. One thing I instill in the members is to make sure you keep your cameras on, because as I tell them, people don't come to see Black screens. They come to see faces. They come to see faces that are looking and have expressions and want to be involved. So there's an introduction that I make as president and let them know that they're welcome. Everyone introduces themselves. We keep our meetings light and family oriented. We have fun table topics that are around the theme. There's a lot of laughter, a lot of banter that goes back and forth. And as Marianne said, we make sure that the guests feel welcome, not pressured. We let them know you're welcome to participate. You don't have to. It's 1 to 2 minutes, but if it's only 30 seconds, at least you said something. And we clap. I have a hand clapper, which is funny and silly, and I wave it, and everyone laughs so that they feel welcome. So we do things like that to keep them relaxed. Our VP of membership is in the chat. She's leaving her email. She's letting them know that she appreciates that they came. If they have any questions, they can feel free to ask her any questions, and she reaches out to them after the meeting. If I get their information, I have Toastmaster note cards where I handwrite a note card. It was so nice to have you at our meeting. We really appreciate it. We would welcome you to come back. And most people respond to the fact that they felt so welcome and so invited that they do come back again. They enjoy the meetings.
That's wonderful. I love the fact that you pointed out you are an online club, and sometimes that creates a bigger challenge to turn a guest into a member, but you seem to have addressed that by having your VPM constantly talk to that guest throughout the meeting, which is wonderful. So you already thought of overcoming that distance. Now, Ruth, how do you collaborate with your other club officers? You're online. It's not like an in-person club where you have to face each other in the same room. For your officer club meetings, is it harder to collaborate?
Not at all. We hold a board meeting at least 3 times throughout the year where we get together in a separate meeting and we talk about how things are going, what our goals are, where we want to go, what's working, what's not working. We also interview our guests at the end of the meeting. What did you enjoy? Are there some things that we can improve? And we get their feedback and we build into that as well.
Did you ever have a situation, like an uncomfortable kind of situation, you ever had to handle as a club president?
Oh, yes. I had an officer who did not want to do their role.
Mm,
And very tactfully, I had to let them know he took on this role. He said that you committed to it. If you don't want to fulfill it, then you need to step away. No, I want the title. I just don't want to do the job. Well, for the benefit of our club, get on the pot and get off. Pretty much
that's
that's what
what
I said. See,
that's
I
why I love
smile,
you.
but I carry a big stick. They saw it my way.
Oh my gosh. Marianne, you have in-person clubs with ETS and well, actually, Worcester's Best does meet online as well. So it's in person or um online. So how do you collaborate with your club officers? And did you ever have a situation that you had to deal with as club president?
We are we don't call it hybrid. There ought to be another word for it. Since none of our meetings are hybrid, we have one in-person meeting and one online meeting. We have no dual meetings at the same time. Our executive committee does meet by Zoom every month. The communication, we're on Free Toast Host, and Free Toast Host has group email names. So members dash 3375 or officers dash 3375. And we use that extensively to copy officers on almost everything, or just the officers like membership treasurer, maybe the secretary and president to handle new members or things like that. So it doesn't overwhelm the other officers who tend to be our newer officers. Um, so there's a lot of communication going back and forth. The difficult thing of being the president is if there's an officer who isn't fulfilling their duties. And the same thing, all you can do is approach them and ask them to step down so someone can be put in, because it's not fair that that work is not being done, especially if it's something like a VP membership or a VPE or treasurer or PR. They're all important. They're all important. So it's just really not fair to the club to be penalized that way. And if the person refuses to, then a tough call has to be made to say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to. We're just going to elect somebody else. I don't know any other way around that. If you have someone who's willing to step into the position. Otherwise, all you can do is help them, and then that's not fair either, that you or someone else is taking on their role and they're going to get credit for it if they're going for a DTM or whatever they're going for. So that's not fair either, but it's something that can be done. You can help, and then maybe they'll get the hint and start doing it.
I'm glad the two of you were very honest and addressed that, because it does happen in many clubs and nobody wants to say anything. So it happens. And as Marianne said, they're going to get credit for an officer role that they have not fulfilled. So if someone else is already doing that role, let them get the credit, and it counts towards their DTM qualifications as well. Mika, as VPE, VPE has so many different responsibilities. What did you find the most challenging, and how did you balance it all?
The most challenging, we meet the first Thursday and third Thursday of the month, as well as the fifth Thursday virtually, but the first and third are in person. The most challenging was putting together the agenda and trying to fill roles. When I first started at VPE, even though I knew individuals who were coming regularly, the challenge of having a larger club is not everyone's coming at the same time. So people may not necessarily feel inclined or as invested. You have like the inner core people, folks that are always coming, always taking roles. But if there's like a holiday or the summer months, or like, something's happening, you might lose people. What I started doing is I just started calling folks straight down, whether they were members or not, and just saying, hey, just wanted to check in and just to say I'm Vice President of Education and wanted to see what just see how you're doing, just say hello without asking them for anything. So my thing was, my greatest challenge to answer your question was getting the agenda filled. And I was able to overcome that by calling and building rapport with our community members before asking them for anything. And so things would come up like sometimes we have members that were sick or someone passed away or they had cancer and nobody knew it. And when we found out things like that, and you're touching heart to heart with people, you can actually send a card around the club and mail it out to them and or have it ready for them if you know they're coming. And then what'll happen is I'm coming back to roles. What'll happen is they'll feel inclined to do a role when you send out when you send out requests asking for roles to be filled. They're like, oh, hey, I miss you guys. Because again, we're a community club. So we have this idea of really trying to focus on heart to heart, not just about filling the role or getting it done. Even though we are goal driven, we want to know you're okay. We're not going to penalize you for wanting to take a vacation with your family. In fact, we want to hear about it. Make a speech about it when you come back. We can't wait to see you. And so I found that that was more helpful. Like I tried both ways to kind of like how, and I tried different things because everyone tries a different strategy as VPE for our club. And that I found worked because what I did that, we also had a bump in people renewing their membership as well, like that following week. So you would see it immediately. Like I could see it as VPE. You can see it coming in, or you'd see people filling roles.
I love the personal touch and creating that relationship with your members. Like you said, sometimes when you reach out to a member you haven't seen in a while, you have no idea what's going on in their life, but making that one connection can totally make a difference in their life, and they know that somebody cares.
Absolutely. Something else I found that was very helpful as VPE is also not taking on those role fillers by yourself. So when it started happening is because we have such a well-oiled machine and everybody gets ear of everything really quickly. So when they found out I was calling everybody because I couldn't get the roles filled the first agenda and I was feeling bad, and they actually re-established the Toastmaster helping VPE fill roles. So it's not all falling on the VPE. The VPE can work collaboratively with the Toastmaster to fill those roles for that agenda. And also GE, the General Evaluator. These are seasoned Toastmasters, so they are going to know most of the individuals in the club. They're going to feel comfortable with our platform. They're going to feel comfortable having dialogues and answering people's questions about the different roles and knowing if they'll be a good fit for it or not. So that's something. And lastly, I would also say is when you're doing a summary, thank everybody. I know it might sound a little tedious, but find the shortest way you can to summarize by thanking people at the same time. Because when you acknowledge when people have helped you fill your roles and do your agenda, whatever little part they do, what I found is they feel more motivated to help next time and they'll tell other people to help too. And they'll do it with a lot more enthusiasm, even though we all are here to like grow and do better. But when you affirm them and validate them and let them know that they're appreciated, even though their role is not like a president or, a big name, it brings another depth to your club and you have a sense of respect from them and more of a tighter knit community. They feel seen and they are more
Mhm.
invested.
I love all these tips. I hope everybody is taking notes. Marianne, your club doesn't have as 40 members or whatever Princeton has right now, but is getting the agenda filled and the roles filled equally as difficult? Or do people know in a smaller club, hey, we all have to step up?
No, it's just as difficult. Um, I would have thought more so, but hearing your issues, Mika, maybe not. You had the same exact issues. It's the same thing. I think there's a lot of people who will fill any role, so they'll wait until you ask them to take a role. Like instead of grabbing a role, somebody else might want that role, so they'll let somebody take it. And then we have to follow up and try to get them to fill the other roles. That happens frequently. When I was VPE, and I was VPE for several years, since it is the biggest, it takes, I think, the most experience to do, to be able to coach people in pathways and all the technical things. I got so used to doing the agenda that I've kept that as president or as treasurer, whatever other role I was in. So our current VPE, and that's what I strongly suggest to every VPE, is see what can be moved off of the VPE's plate. One, mentoring, and we can talk about that later. Two, the agenda. Give it to the secretary. Give it to anybody who likes to do that. Anybody who's willing to do it. Give that away. And scale down contests. I'm sorry. I'm probably going to get hollered at for saying this, but when you have 20 members, you do not need 5 judges for a contest. It's just not going to happen. We might have 1, if we're lucky, running, in a contest, maybe 2. That's a normal meeting. There are speakers. Everybody who doesn't compete votes, who's a member. And that's the person that we select rather than have a contest for. We select that person to go on to represent us. And then everybody does a group evaluation, of course, to give them feedback to strengthen it for their next competition. So we don't have contests. It makes it a lot easier.
Marianne, you brought up a subject we weren't even going to touch upon tonight, but we are in contest mode, since we do have a fall online contest, and that is a concern for many clubs. They don't have the staff, but if you do read the rule book, it says when you can staff it with 5 judges and all this stuff. But I think Toastmasters International realizes it's a tall order, especially when you have so many new members coming in. So I'm glad that you have found a way to, send somebody on and kind of have your own little version of a contest,
Right.
who you want to represent. Mika, you had talked about the GE and the Toastmaster. They kind of know who's ready for what roles or whatever. Where does it fall as far as someone meeting with the members to keep up with their pathways progress? Is that a VPE role? Is it somebody else's role? Just to keep people moving along in their path.
So the VPE is basically tag teams with the mentorship coordinator. And that's what I ended up doing a lot of, can I share my screen? Am I able to share?
You are able, yes.
So I would definitely, sometimes what would happen is with the VPE, so a member would join and they would start. Can you guys see? Let's see. Can you see this? On my
Yes.
screen? Okay. So this was our best friend. This was my best friend when I was VPE. Basically, I'd go to Base Camp Manager and I could go to Path Progress, and this is through the Base Camp Manager dashboard. You have as in the role VPE role, you have access to all of this. It takes a little bit of time for it to load, but as you can see, you can actually keep track of where folks are in their pathways. So this is the new pathway. That was the major challenge because we were going from the old educational platform, transitioning to a new educational platform during my time of being vice president of education. So that was the greatest challenge we had of a lot of the senior members, including myself. They were used to the paper way of doing it. And this was kind of the final nudge that okay, we've got to get the ball rolling. So I would function kind of like a coach, just like I just shared my screen just now. I would call that call that new member, because the VP of membership would let me know, oh, we've got a new member, you can see it. And then I would include in the mentorship coordinator. So they would be in the process of trying to find a match for the new member. However, that doesn't always happen right away or quickly. because they're doing it based on experience. So what I would do is I would, basically kind of do a Zoom share my screen, and be able to kind of see. Obviously, they wouldn't be here that far yet, obviously, but I would basically just kind of do a run through of, just kind of giving them the ropes and letting them know what Pathways is, giving them an introductory and letting them know, okay, you're going to be assigned a mentor, and explaining what that is. But I would make myself available and still remain in communication with the mentor coordinator. So this idea of doing like a smooth handoff versus them kind of just waiting and not really knowing anything. But if I'm showing them something, if I'm still encouraging them, like you kind of do like I guess like a sub mentorship role as a VPE, because you know all the education and you kind of want to encourage them to go forward with it.
Mhm.
Then once they do their icebreaker, sometimes I would get questions from members who don't have mentors anymore, because after 6 months, that's the rule that we have with mentorship. It's kind of trickles off. You have access to everyone in the community. But as a VPE, you're kind of like you're the target. So I had to get the swing of this right away. That's how you saw how quick I had to pull it up, because you become accustomed to like keeping track of where people are, especially as a club. You want to look for them individually, but also as a club, are we going to be able to reach our goals as a club? And also, something that I felt was helpful is we also acknowledge people when they completed their levels, not just when they completed their pathways. We would acknowledge them, give them like a little pin, and take pictures of it and put it on our Free Toast Host homepage to acknowledge them. We do that even still today. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. And since you brought, oh, Marianne, take yourself off mute.
I thought I did hit click. Sorry.
Oh.
I was just looking at that chart today. It is fantastic, but I had to send out 4 letters to people who I know have done speeches and aren't marking them in base camp. So before
Mm.
I try to do the club success plan, which I'm assuming is pulling from the same database, I've got to get them to put their speeches in there. So that's another job.
Almost when you're VPE and you know somebody has given 3 speeches, but you look at base camp and they're only on their icebreaker. Yeah, it's hard for you because you want them to be accurate in case, well, what if I am now sick and I can't fulfill my role? Someone else is stepping in. They may not know that they're on their planning their 4th speech, not their second. So getting people to go into base camp, a couple of times when I was VPE, we shared the screen and I was like, okay, do this, do this, do this, and I had to walk them through, but it accomplished what needed to get done. Yeah. Um, Mika had brought up mentors, and I'm going out of order here with the questions that I had planned for today, but it's a good time to talk about a mentor program. And not all clubs have a mentor program. Ruth, how important is having a mentor program, whether official, unofficial, in a club, to its success of its members?
It's vital to the success. In fact, the immediate past president is the person who is responsible for the mentor program. That's the first mentor for the club. And that immediate past president is supposed to get a team of mentors for the club members. This was something I found out recently as the club president from the immediate past president, who said it 3/4 of the way into the year when I said, we need more mentors, because at this point I was mentoring like 4 people. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming close to burnout. I need help. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm responsible for the mentor program. Really? And you are doing what? Oh, well, I'm busy. And when you finish your term, you'll be responsible for it.
Mhm. So
Wow.
now some clubs they may have more new members than experienced members. I know
We
of
had
one club,
plenty of experienced members
yeah,
sitting.
but do you ever consider mentoring new members kind of like in a group setting? When you're short on members, like you said, you don't want the few members to have 4 or 5 mentees. So, have you ever used a group setting?
That would be only advisable if they're at the same level.
Mhm.
Many times, the people that I'm mentoring, they're at different places. I had a very good speaker who just didn't realize the gifts that he had. He had the qualities. It's just that he hadn't utilized them and wasn't aware of the gifts that he had. So to put him with people who were not good speakers, who really needed to be trained and honed in how to speak, would have pulled him backwards. So you couldn't group them together. Then we had the ahs and ums, you knows, you like. They need to be separate. So it depends on the situation and where that speaker is at that particular time.
Okay, Marianne, what about your club? And think about the corporate club with ETS as well as your community club. What are the mentor programs like? And do you ever have to do it in a group setting?
ETS Toastmasters, it's been a while since they had a mentor program. So I'm trying to think back, which probably when Jean Shipos was there. And even then, we didn't have a sufficient number of mentors. That's always the complaint, right? For Mercer's Best, having 20 members, and if you want to do the math real quick, we have 20 members. We had 14 new members, and we're still at 20. So some of our new members never came. They loved our meetings, paid, here's my money, and then we never saw them again. And I cannot figure out why. They just whatever. But the point is we don't have enough experienced members. So when I was VPE, what I started and what I strongly suggest, if you can't get a mentorship program officially going, the VPE having office hours. Okay, anybody can come. We use it as new member orientation and make sure they're walking through pathways and they pick their path before we're done with the first session. Free toast, they understand how to use it and how to fill in the agenda. And then anyone can come at any point who has something they need to talk about, work through, ideas to bounce off of, whatever. My thought is if a new member can't take the initiative to come to office hours, which are basically we're willing to make them for whenever they can make it, then what's the chance of having a mentor spending the time trying to work with them and get to them and make appointments when there's not a desire on that person's end? I really have a problem with that because, my time is valuable too. And I can't spend it trying to track somebody down who's not going to even make an appointment to come. If we do it, then it's on them. Contact me and initiate the activity. Okay, because that tells me they want to do it. I know I want to do it. Do they want to do it? They have to show me that. And again, maybe that's not the way to go, but we've used office hours extensively for any questions. I'm having difficulty with this, speech ideas, anything. And it's worked.
Very
I
good.
agree with that. I had one woman, she said, I need to be mentored, but you have to stay after me. I took it lightly. I emailed her, I texted her. I said, give me the times when you're available. She gave me those times, set up the appointment. 15 minutes before the appointment. Oh, I've got a work thing. I need to reschedule. Okay. We rescheduled. I'm not available, but stay after me. I emailed her again, didn't respond to the email. No, you need to be mentored. I'm the mentor, but you've got to want it more than me. You're not a child. You're not running out in the street in front of traffic. I'm not going to run you down to help you with your speaking journey. There's too many people out there who really need my assistance. And that was that.
You definitely do need the mentee to have, skin in the game. They have to want to make the self improvements and to follow the program. Um, that's why sometimes when we have corporate clubs, if the corporation is paying their dues, they don't show up, they don't follow pathways, they don't take roles, they don't have skin in the game. They're not laying out their $60. So, you know, it's sometimes you need to lay that money out to make sure you get your money's worth. But now, Mika, you have a huge club. You even have somebody totally different as, leading your mentor program. So, do you still have the same type of struggles, or do you put all the onus on the mentee, or do the mentor mentees, kind of work together for their meetings?
I agree with what Ruth was saying in terms of expressing in the very beginning that it's a dual partnership, it's a dual responsibility. It's not all on the mentee and it's not all on the mentorship coordinator either. This year as president, especially because I've been making all the phone calls, other benefit of that is you end up kind of being like a walking survey. So you know exactly what member and non-members want, and what they have a preference for, like within your community. And my community, they love like themes, getting together, socials, or figuring out ways to have things that are kind of sandwiched in. So what I'm going to experiment with this year, I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm going to do a mentee mentor meet and greet orientation that's also open to our regular members. And I'm going to set it up where it can also be count toward their pathways. It'll also allow our new members to give their pathways, their icebreakers in a smaller group. And it can count toward pathways, and we can also coach them along. I'm going to work with my mentorship coordinator. I'm not making him or forcing him. We had a conversation before, that we can work as a partnership to, when he's able to make it, it'll be the off Thursday, then when we don't usually have meetings. The benefit of it that will be is that, like I said, it'll be a smaller group setting, less intimidating, because that's what I've heard from newer members, that they're kind of scared.
Mm.
Because even when you coach them, like Ruth was saying, or you're chasing them for a reason. They're sabotaging because that's part of it. Some of them aren't as invested as they think they are. And then some of them are sabotaging because they're really anxious and they struggle with anxiety. But if it's a smaller group or a smaller setting, or they feel more inspired. So I'm like I said, that's going to be launched in September. I will definitely let you guys know there'll be food. It'll be like a table topics thing, and they'll get credit for their icebreakers. So I'll let you know how that goes.
That is a wonderful
Mhm.
idea, especially for a very large club.
Oh,
It is always a packed house at Princeton. So I can imagine someone that really is trying to overcome their fear of public speaking, getting stage fright, just walking up there. So that's a wonderful idea that you had. And it was because you listened to your members. You really took what their needs were and what their concerns were. And now you're going to try something new. And I think that is absolutely wonderful. Well, one thing that I keep hearing at all of the club officer training is, how do you motivate your members? Whether it's like Mika was saying, meetings, themes, do you have guest speakers, workshops, skill centric speeches, using the old programs that we used to have, the leadership, better speaker series, all of those? Or do you motivate your members in other ways? I just want to hear some ideas. And after we go through this, we'll see if we can open it up to questions. So, Marianne, how do you motivate your members in your club?
We really started talking up the term level up. I don't know if that was the district that started that or if that's a TI thing, but we asked everyone to let us know if they had a goal of reaching the next level. Of course, so we could track our DCP, but also so we could make sure we got them on the agenda when they needed to be on the agenda and that they were tracking to do it in the year that they needed to do it. Anybody who did complete a level, we gave a 100th anniversary pin. We bought a supply of them and gave out 100th anniversary pins for anybody who completed a level. And then emphasized that the district would give the Triple Crown. So of course we had one member who, starting in December, immediately started going for 3 levels, and she did it. Can't believe it, she did it. So that was fun. So every year the end of the year, we have a meeting in the park, and it's a recognition, new officers, things like that. And we did have little plastic trophies for everybody who leveled up and got their pin. So they got a pin and a trophy. I couldn't figure out and didn't have time to print certificates, so we didn't go that way. But they did have trophies. So this year, I'm asking my officers, wouldn't it be cool if every officer was up there getting a trophy for having leveled up at next year's picnic in the park? And then I gave a motivational speech at our last club meeting, a goal setting, talk about how to set goals, and gave them a paper tracker for their pathways. But said maybe your goal is to be called up and get a trophy for having completed a level. Right. So kind of tied it all together. It worked this year. We're going to see if we can. And I also said we had 4 or 5 people level up. I challenged everybody to hit 10. We want 10 members leveling up for next year. And asked if everybody thought we could do it. And there were a lot of head shaking that we could do it. So we'll see.
Wonderful. And I like that you have a prize at the end for that. Ruth, how do you motivate the members in your club?
Well, this year was the 20th anniversary for Positively Charged. And I started off the year telling them that we were the future, not someone else coming. And it was up to us to make the future. It was up to us to make our club conducive for other people coming in. And I kept stressing that point throughout the year. And I had one of our meetings I used for table topics, 20 years. I came up with movies from 20 years ago, music from 20 years ago, dances from 20 years ago, vacations, and for our younger group that weren't 20 years ago. In 20 years, what do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? And that just generated so much thought. And when we had our anniversary, I drove up to Philadelphia because my club is in Philadelphia and I live in North Carolina. I drove up to Philadelphia to have dinner with them, and I had certificates made from Toastmasters International congratulating us on 20 years. And we sat together and they were just thrilled that I had come up, and we took pictures. And so now, as a result of that, 2 people who had joined that year are our new president and our secretary. And I am just so thrilled and amazed with the future things that the president is doing, taking us into the future. And the secretary came up with this beautiful newsletter that he developed from Canva and is digital. It's just amazing. Next month, we're going to do a slam speech, and it's all about lessons. And it's just amazing what futuristic things they're doing based upon me pushing that idea that you are the future. So the message got across. So I'm just so proud of them.
That is amazing how you took your anniversary and tied it to the past and the future. And that just seemed to motivate everyone and get them charged up. So
Yes.
great thinking. Wow. Mika, huge club. How do you keep everybody motivated? And, because there's so many different personalities, so many different levels of what motivates who. How do you do it?
Well, I just put a little picture in the chat, and that is our pre-out of basement cruise ship themed meeting. What we do is we have props, and every year we have an out of basement meeting where we have the picnic, we have food, we have an open mic where people can sing. And this year you give a motivational speech about that. It's about everybody. The club is about everybody. It's about community, and it's also about integrating fun and culture as well, and allowing people to bring their different foods from wherever they're from and inviting them to come up to share table topics that's theme based, along the idea of a cruise ship theme, that we're on a journey together, that there are waves that come as we're learning and speaking and connecting, and sometimes it can be scary, but we're in this together and on this ship together, and that also draws everyone together. And so when you send out an email, including a picture like this, so at the pre-out of basement meeting, we had 64 members. After the out of basement meeting, we went up to 72 members. So we got 10 new members since then. And that was because we were integrating the summary. So the summary of what happened at this pre-out of basement meeting, how successful it was, thanking everyone for participating and helping us put it together and take pictures and giving great speeches. But in that summary that we're sending out to everyone, they're seeing this picture of community. And they're also seeing pictures of us acknowledging people who've completed their pathway levels at our out of basement meeting. So we made the out of basement meeting about anyone who has completed a level, not just a pathway, which was inspiring.
Wonderful. And I love how, just as Marianne had said, your clubs are always praising people for their accomplishments, for any small piece of accomplishment, or to give them recognition just for volunteering, for going out of their way, for helping. It's wonderful. What I want to do is now open this up to the audience for Q&A. If you can please use the raised hand feature at your bottom toolbar to raise your hand. You can ask your question. If you want to ask a specific panel member, please let us know who that member is, or we're just going to post the question to anyone and they'll jump in with whatever with whatever answers they have. Sue, I see you raised your hand first. Come
Thank
off
you.
of mute.
Thank you for calling on me, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a question, it's just a follow-up to something we all talked about, and that was with the mentoring program. A number of years ago, I was serving as a club coach, and as I began my tenure as a club coach, I talked to the president and the VPE. What do you need? Did you do a moments of truth session? And one of the things that they discovered is that they did want and need a mentoring program. So what I did as a DTM project is I started a mentor program in the club, and I sustained it for 6 months. I had to have an ending. So this way, at the end of the mentor program, the new VPE could take ownership of it. And I asked everybody in the club if they wanted to participate either as a mentor and or a protege, and everyone said yes, even though it was a small club. But I wanted to let you know that a person can take on that role as a DTM project or a pathways project. Thank you, Chris.
Great suggestion. Marcia, you're from Parliamentary Speaking. What question do you have?
Good evening. Thank you for calling on me. I have a question about mentoring. So we are a fairly new small club. And so when a survey was sent out, but nobody wants to even attempt to, would you serve as a mentor? And everybody, I think I had one person say yes. What do you do? Because I'm as VP, as you said, many hats. So it's like I'm OJT, learning the base camp, learning and serving as the mentor and whatnot. So I'm just trying to figure out how to encourage everyone to even do pathways, but also say, okay, I will, consider being a mentor, so that as new people come in, we have someone to turn to other than myself.
Marianne?
One thing our VPE tried is instead of a mentor program where someone has to feel that they're capable of mentoring another person, and technically Toastmasters requires that you complete the mentorship course before you become a mentor. Instead, how about try instituting a buddy system where you just connect two people up and they help each other and they're buddy, and they can work together and be sounding boards for each other and challenge each other and support each other. And if they have questions, they could go to the VP Education if there's questions, something like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Ruth,
can
you came
also
off mute. Do you have something to add?
Yes, you can also talk with another club president and find out if there are any mentors there that would assist your club. Because it doesn't have to be within your club, it can be from another club.
Okay, thank you.
And you could also, when you go to that other club, it could be a high performance leadership project for them to be a mentor to your members. So give them Pathways credit for a project in return for helping out. Any other questions? Let's see. Tia from Finer Toastmasters asked, where can new Toastmasters find the old Toastmasters education guide? We do have on the District 38 webpage, and Jeanette has posted the link. Yes, Michael Freelander does have links to those old programs, and you would just download them. The Better Speaker series is wonderful because it does break down some of the skills when it comes to public speaking, body language, and vocal variety, but it also addresses controlling your fears and connecting with your audience. Some people don't realize that one speech has to change depending on the audience. I am not going to give this same speech in a Toastmasters meeting that I would to senior leadership in my corporation. I have to tweak it. I may practice it in my Toastmasters meeting and it could be relevant, but I'm going to change how I speak to the upper management. So you need to know all that and how to recognize your speaking area. Great tools to know if you are a contestant in a speech contest. You have to get to know, what is your speaking area? Is it smooth? Is there a little lip on the stage? Where are all the seats going to be? How far back are there? Will I have microphone or not? Do I have to project my voice or keep it down lower? All those type of things are in the Better Speaker series. And then the leadership series is wonderful just to learn the leadership skills, not only for the club officers, just leadership skills that you would use in your work life, out in your community, and elsewhere. So please check those out. Uma, you have a question.
Yes, my question is for Marianne. How often do you do office hours? I tried that couple times and I had minimal to no attendees, so it was a little disappointing. So I was just wondering how often you do them and how do you get people to take advantage of that?
Well, that's the issue as we were talking about mentoring. They have to want to. You can't force them to. We have scheduled twice a month, but it's always contact the VPE. If these times aren't good for you, they'll work something else out. So our Young Mei Lee, our VPE, is very flexible about that. She'll schedule basically whenever somebody's available. We definitely try to get the new members in at least once so they understand pathways. We're sure they picked their path. We have them pick it there while we're on the call, or else they won't even pick it, which makes you wonder why they're really here, but that's back to that same question. And if we see somebody really struggling giving a speech, like they're really missing understanding the total objective of the speech, we might strongly recommend that they come. Why don't you come, and we'll work it through and I'll give you more feedback or whatever. But you can't make people attend. It's not mandatory, right? They don't have to. They can give us their money every 6 months and they're going to do what they want to do. So it's not a reflection on you. If you've got the hours and you're flexible, that's all you can do.
Right. And the other question I had was, I loved your idea about not having speech contests. I guess it's one way to do it, and it's okay to do it that way.
Whether it's if it's table topics, then we do our regular speeches, and during table topics, we do the table topics contest. If it's an evaluation, then one of our speakers is the model speaker. We just pick one, and then everybody evaluates that one person. And so we don't really deviate from the meeting agenda too much to cover them.
Yeah, because it is quite a production, and I love that idea. Thank you.
But do you normally have more than one person that wants to compete?
Who was that question for?
For Uma.
Oh, rarely. Yeah, sometimes actually we do, or two people might say they will compete, and we try to put together the whole shebang, and then somebody drops out. Yeah, we have had that.
My corporate club had that as well 2 years ago. We went through the contest and it was a practice session for the one speaker. The judges got to practice being a judge. So but we only had the one contestant for one of the two contests. And sometimes that's what happens at the club level. But at least you're trying, you're offering the club the opportunity, but don't feel the pressure to create this elaborate thing if you don't have the number of members that are needed. Like I said, Marianne found a way I think it makes it more comfortable for the contestants to do it in that type of setting. So you have to know your members as well.
So, Marianne, you pretty much run your regular club meeting and then pick the winner, whoever is the winner for that day.
Yes. And if we have only one, say there's only one person in the speech contest, we still might have two or three speakers, but they're not competing.
I see.
We're only, we only have the one, or we only have if there's two, we'd probably only leave it at two. We only have a 1 hour meeting. So we'd probably leave it at just the two and block off a third. And then everybody who's not competing, who was a member vote.
Great. I don't see anybody from my club in this group, so I can't wait to tell our other officers about this brilliant idea. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I am going through the chats and I don't see any other questions. I see a lot of statements. Charlene Brown, you're raising your hand there.
I never could get that hand raising thing. I keep looking for it. It's like, I don't know where that hand raising thing is. So let me just raise my real hand. I had a question about theme meetings. I heard y'all mention that, and we constantly keep hearing about these theme meetings. And one of my members, my VPM, she has sent me a notification. She wanted to do theme meetings. How do you even start these theme meetings? Anybody have done theme meetings out of the panel? How do you start these theme meetings?
I know Mika has ideas, but Ruth, you took yourself off mute first. Let's hear from
Yeah,
you.
you announce it at the end of your last meeting. You say next week is going to be Halloween, and it's going to be a Halloween theme. The table topics, the speeches, and whoever is going to be the speaker will build their speech around it. The table topic questions will be about it. We always do a Valentine's theme meeting. We do a Christmas theme meeting, Thanksgiving, and everything is around that. Some people even come in costume. They'll wear the red and white. They'll wear their Halloween costumes. Like we'll have bring your own bottle since we're online. Around the holidays, we everybody comes and they have their favorite beverage, and we'll just be drinking as we're giving speeches and toasting one another, and it's a lot of fun. And when we have guests, they're like, "Wow, what did I come into?" I want to come back to this club. I love this club. So
Ruth,
it's just that easy. You set the theme.
are all of your meetings themed or only like once a month?
Only once a month. Sometimes it's every other month, you know, but we don't
Mika,
do it for every meeting.
okay. Mika,
It's
I
just
know
to spice
Princeton
things up.
has
But
some
yeah,
fantastic theme meetings. Do you do it every month, every meeting, or have I only been there every single time you had a theme?
We do it frequently, and there are two ways that are two angles of it. So the first thing is, as incoming president, what you can do is at the very beginning of the year, or even VPE, you can look at the calendar and actually see what special days, what special months acknowledge certain months. For example, we just did a Disability Awareness Month on the last day of July. So disability awareness meeting. And and we had, we're encouraging the Toastmaster to kind of follow along with that. But typically what we will also do, the second piece of that is allowing the Toastmaster who's setting the tone for the meeting to pick what theme they'd like to do. So it doesn't have to be what the president is setting. However, you can build some really good opportunities to build community partnerships. And I'm going to be also experimenting with that again this year. I'll let you guys know how that goes this year. Because if you pick certain awareness months, you can pull from that, like geriatric awareness month. There's awareness month for every single thing, and I have the benefit of knowing that because I'm a healthcare provider and I'm in a hospital setting. And so, but even if you're not in a hospital setting, you can just do a Google search and say, like, what holidays or what months are known for what. There's a Puppies Day. And it doesn't, and the other cool part is it doesn't have to be on the same day as your meeting. You can just pull, if it's even within the same month, just pull from that, just to build creativity. However, we also do like to have a balance. So we don't always have a theme. So sometimes we don't have any theme at all. And we meet as an executive board and we just talk about it. We troubleshoot and brainstorm, but we do find that people do enjoy a meeting that has a theme to it, and taking it to another level, a heartfelt theme that has a purpose and an intention to educate and inform on major issues that are happening in the community outside that members are dealing with or members are working with in the workplace. And that can actually lead to new members from their organizations. So it's another idea.
And I've attended some meetings. Yes, they had a theme. Say if it was disability awareness. The speeches may not be related to that theme, and the table topics may not necessarily be related to that theme. However, in between each section of the meeting, like the Toastmaster would open with some facts about Disability Awareness Month. Then, before they hand it off to the table topics master, they give a little bit more facts. In between the table topics and the GE, additional facts. So that's how you can incorporate a theme, just making little splatters of pieces of information for your audience to become more aware about a subject or a topic, but it doesn't have to be incorporated, through every aspect. So it really depends on the club and how they want to work it. Marianne, you took yourself off mute. Do you have additional?
Yeah, another aspect to look at is part of that educational. So a meeting that's celebrating success and achievements. Somewhere in July, maybe August, the president should be giving a speech on setting goals, what the goals, how to set goals for personally and for the club, what those goals are for the club so that everybody's aware of it, that kind of thing. So goal setting is a theme. So you can target various educational things that you want to have. I find that I give a lot of my speeches that are educational because they're just not going to hear about them otherwhere. Where are you going to hear about goal setting? So I try to squeeze it into my path and give a speech on goal setting and squeeze it in where it fits. The other thing is, though, make sure the Toastmaster is aware what the theme is, and the general evaluator and the speakers and the table topic masters. If we don't have a theme, frequently our table topics will say, can I pick the theme? Because they're picking a theme for their table topics. And we'll say, yeah, we'll make that the theme of the meeting. So frequently from us, it comes from our table topics master.
Let's see. Tia, you had a question.
Oh, never mind. I just put my hand on down. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mika, did you have more to add on the themes?
Yes, there was one more thing I almost forgot to say. As being also go by your location as well. If there's certain historical events that happened, or there's certain historical facts that you really want to highlight about the club, about Princeton Toastmasters or Toastmasters International, like the 100th anniversary or things like that. You can do like they were saying earlier, you can do like just a tidbit little fact in the beginning, and like Chris was saying, like just have little tidbit tips in the middle of just saying those facts.
Ruth?
Another thing that we do to help our guests feel more comfortable is using the word of the day, which we asked everyone to use. Then we use that basically to increase vocabulary, but every now and then we'll be silly with it. Like we'll use whatchamacallit or thingamajig. And when a guest hears that, it's like, okay, I'll participate in table topics so that they can find something silly to say with whatchamacallit or thingamajig because they hear us using it in the table topics. And it just immediately relaxes everyone. We're all, doubled over with laughter before the end of the meeting. And again, they're like, I want to come back. You guys really know how to have fun.
Slang, a whole meeting with slang. Uma, you have your hand raised with a question?
Yes. what I really like about Toastmasters is that it's a self-driven, self-paced, self-improvement program. Where I find it a little sticky and tricky as the VPE is sometimes I get approval requests for levels.
Froze.
Uma, are you stuck?
I think she frozen.
Oh,
What's that?
you were frozen for a while.
You were frozen. So what about the levels?
Oh, I get approval requests um, for level completions that I'm not familiar with. They might have given them in another club. And so my question is, I feel a little awkward, especially for the president or even the district director to say, well, tell me where you did this speech or where you did this project or show me your evaluation. I'm just curious how people handle it. I I believe that it's a self-driven program, so clearly, I mean, I so far I've gone with the honor system that you know, we're all adults, and so I have not, but I'm wondering if others experience a similar situation or dilemma.
People do belong to multiple clubs. So I don't think it's uncalled for or inappropriate to ask for a copy of all their speech evaluations. But Marianne, you are a member of two different clubs. How do you do it? Take yourself off mute.
Okay. Just that. I at least ask for the date and the title of the speech that they gave. We're small and I know everybody and I know that they're in multiple clubs. If there was any question or if it just seemed like there were too many, I'd ask for the evaluation. They're supposed to have a written evaluation. And if they don't have it, then okay, maybe I'll just say, okay, then the name and the title and who evaluated you. Something like that. But that's the reason for the VPE approval. I mean, when Pathways first came out, I had 2 new members who went through the whole path and completed everything, marked everything completed in the first month. And you know, you can't undo that, but that's beside the point. You know, so people sometimes don't understand that when they click and say that it was completed, it means that you really completed it, not that you just read through it. So if I'm putting my stamp on it that this was done, I'm going to want to know where it was done. And that's
Marianne, I had that same experience. I had someone that went through all their level 1 projects, did it all online. However, they only gave 2 speeches and they were submitting their level 1 completion. I had to explain it's every project has a speech, sometimes more than one speech. So it is important to validate that they actually did complete everything online.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? All right, I just want to ask our panelists, do you have any final words of encouragement for our presidents and our VPEs? Ruth, let's start with you.
It was my pleasure meeting with everyone and having this conversation. And I encourage you to have a great year and fulfill all of your ideas because I'm sure you are full of them and the world needs you. Toastmasters need you. Don't be afraid.
Mika?
I have enjoyed sharing with you all and learning from you all, and this has been an enjoyable experience. And I would just encourage all of the incoming VPEs to constantly ask yourself, why did I join this Toastmasters International in the first place? And I challenge you to pose that question constantly to your members as well, because sometimes they forget. Thanks for having me.
And Marianne.
I did take a lot of notes too. There were some good things to take back to the club. I just want to say sometimes you do everything right and you can't get the people to come to the meeting, you can't get the people to fill the role, you can't get the people to update their path or just keep on doing it. It'll sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And honestly, after 15 years, I'm not sure why it does sometimes and why it doesn't. For our club, one of our things that changed was we changed locations. And that seems to have triggered a whole bunch more people. Not sure why. And then sometimes it's just this year you get one person who's really dedicated and wants to start as secretary. Like, oh, I got somebody for secretary. And then the next year, maybe one out of those 14 people is dedicated and a worker and is going to be involved in helping run the club. And then over time, it seems to build up a little bit that you have a full officer slate and you're not doubling and tripling up on officer roles. That happens. So if it feels like you're doing everything right and it's not working, it's not you. It's just sometimes that's what happens. And you're just doing the best that you can. Just keep on trying. Think of the skills you're learning as you're doing the roles. You are helping the people, whether they will admit it or not. You are making a difference in their lives, and just keep on trying.
Thank you. And I too want to thank everyone for attending tonight, but my heartfelt gratitude goes to our three panelists who was there to give all of their information, their support, their ideas and tips. This is what we are. We are a community that is there to support one another, encourage each other, and help. And as Marianne said, we don't always help everyone, but for those that we do help, you'll take that away for many, many years when you know that someone has gone on to bigger and better things because of the time and the attention that you provided to them in your role as an officer. So just take the little successes as they come and embrace them and just accumulate them, because you will look back on it and realize it was so worth it to volunteer and to take on these challenges, because you may have been that difference in somebody else's life to make them a better person. So thank you again for attending. Next Monday, we will be talking to Sergeant in Arms and DPMs and their critical role in welcoming those guests and turning them into members. So if you want, encourage your fellow officers or join us yourself. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.